Over the weekend, we saw a defiant Colombia stand up against President Trump and say, no, we will not allow you to send our people back to us. It makes not a lick of sense. Let me just say right now, they are entirely against taking back their own people. Now, you might ask, why? And the answer is, honestly, I don't know. They did not give a reason as to why they did not want to repatriate their own citizens. Now, here's the thing, right? There's a lot of Colombian migrants in this country, illegal immigrants, right? And they came here one way or another. Now, what I've heard and cannot confirm is that a lot of these folks from, South American countries, Venezuela, Colombia, Ecuador, places like that, they're coming from prisons and psych wards, right? I can't confirm that. That is speculation. I do not know. But it's very telling when these countries don't want to take back their own citizens. Just like Honduras. They said they would not take back their own citizens and instead would send back or would refuse to allow military installations from the U.S. in Honduras. First off, big deal. Who cares? Guam is right there. We can just go somewhere else. Second off, why don't you want your own people back? That doesn't make any sense to me. Like, you're so upset that we're giving your people a ride home. That's all it is. We didn't put them in prison. We haven't prosecuted them for, essentially breaking and entering into our country without invitation. We just said, hey, you've been here for too long. Shouldn't have come. We're going to give you a ride home. Okay? And then we did. And Colombia said, no. We do not want our people back. And it makes no damn sense to me. Like, their excuse is going to be, oh, but they're being flown back on military flights, military planes. So what? That's what we send our troops everywhere on. The same freaking planes. Now, people on X, because I started a whole flame war, it was a problem, right? The people on X are all like, oh, it's because they're cargo ships instead of citizen planes. It's like, fine. But we send troops everywhere on those planes. Like, it's not a big deal. Those planes fly people everywhere. It's how it works. It's okay. I'm sorry that we choose instead of requiring our, national transportation companies, say, American Airlines or Delta or whoever, to fly these migrants there. Instead, we decide to make use of the military and fly one of these C-147s over. I believe that's what it is, a C-147. I'm so sorry that we've decided, instead of, wasting people's money and time, we decided to just send a military plane over. A plane that otherwise would not be doing anything. Okay, great. And the fact that that is their excuse, that not that they don't want their people back. Obviously, that cannot be the answer, right? Because these presidents, these people, right? They're good people, and they are willing to reaccept their citizens. Their citizens that have left them and are coming home, just like the prodigal son. The only thing they want is they want their people to be treated well. They do not want them sent on military planes. They want them sent on civilian planes. They want them not handcuffed, not shackled, because apparently that was a thing that was happening. And that's all they want. They just want them to be treated well. Well, Trump gave him a big ass fuck you, which is, he said, if you don't allow our military planes to bring your citizens home, we will put a 25% tariff on everything that you sell to us. And in a week, if you still do not allow it, we will make that a 50% tariff. And we are going to revoke every freaking visa and every ambassadorial role that you have in our country. So your people will not come to our country legally. We will not have your ambassadors in our country. We will not have any of your officials in our country unless you take your people back, because they are your people. These are your people. Take them back. It is very simple. And who'da fucking thunk it? 18 hours later, the Colombian president said, you know what? I think I'm going to take your deal. I think that's a pretty good deal. Because, Colombia needs us. We do not need them. Now, the left will say, oh no, but the price of coffee will go up. Whatever shall we do if the price of coffee goes up? Yes, by maybe $1 a cup, if that. Barely. Because, yes, Colombia sends a lot of coffee. But so do plenty of other places. Brazil sends coffee. We get coffee from the Middle East. Like all kinds of places send coffee. That's fine. We don't need Colombian coffee. We can get coffee elsewhere. And I've heard some places that it'll be 17 cents a cup. Now, even if it's $1, I'll spend an extra $1 per cup of coffee to get rid of the migrants. That's fine. That's fair. I'm absolutely willing to sacrifice that. My dollar will not be spent in vain. But the left will say, but then the cost of flowers will go up. I'm be honest, the only time that anyone cares about the cost of flowers is on your wife's birthday or anniversary and Valentine's Day. Every other day, who's spending money on cut flowers? You want some cut flowers? Go to Trader Joe's. They cost like $12. It's fine. Like, this isn't something where this isn't going to break your wallet over a bouquet of flowers that people don't buy most of the time anyway. And the last option is oil, which, that's the wildest part, is we send them more oil than they send us. They send us crude, raw petroleum, and we send them back refined oil. So, I'm going to be honest, there's a lot of places we can get oil from, including from us. We can get it from Alaska. We can get it from Texas. We can get it from all kinds of places inside the U.S. We do not need their oil. So they have no threat. They have no leverage. And that is why they have bent over. That is why they have said, you know what? That's a pretty good deal. The whole, you not imposing tariffs on us. We're gonna take that. Yeah. And so they've bent over. And we'll talk about this in a moment here through this article. These are my receipts, right? But Trump is still going to hold to hold those visas and those officials' ambassadorships over their heads until they make sure that they are actually going to uphold their end of the deal. Because right now it's tentative. They haven't allowed the flights yet. They just said they will. And once they do, then Trump is going to say, you know what? Since you held up your end of the deal, I'm going to hold up mine. You can have your visas back. You can have your diplomats back, and we'll be fine. And everything's okay. And we won't have a trade war. And that's all she wrote. Simple as hell, right? I have ranted enough. Let's go through the article from BBC. Colombia yields on deportation flights to avert trade war. A looming trade war between the U.S. and Colombia appears to have been averted after the Colombian government agreed to allow U.S. military flights carrying deported migrants to land in the Andean country. The spat erupted on Sunday when communist dictator Gustavo Petro barred 2 military planes carrying Colombians deported from the U.S. From landing. The Trump administration responded by threatening to slap punitive tariffs on Colombian exports to the U.S. President Petro at first said Colombia would retaliate by imposing tariffs on U.S. goods, and no one blinked an eye. No one cared, because they have basically nothing we want, and the trade is worth basically nothing. Now, obviously, it's a lot of money. It's like $50-some-odd billion. But in the grand scheme of things, with U.S. trade, that is literally nothing. That is a drop in the bucket. We are doing trillions and trillions of dollars. $50 billion means nothing. They have no threat. They have no leverage. And that was proven by the fact that they said, I'm going to take your deal. It's a good deal. Even though the deal was, you're just gonna do what we wanted you to do in the first place. And then we won't do anything adverse to you. Simple. But the White House later announced that Colombia had agreed to accept migrants, including those arriving on U.S. military aircraft, without limitation or delay. The White House hailed the agreement with Colombia as a victory for Trump's hardline approach after the country's 2 leaders had exchanged threats on social media on Sunday. Today's events make clear to the world that America is respected again, White House Press Secretary Carolyn Leavitt wrote in a statement. She added that the tariffs and sanctions which the Trump administration had threatened to impose on Colombia, should it not comply, would be held in reserve and not signed unless Colombia fails to honor this agreement, which is the correct move. If they decide to renege, okay, slap them with the tariffs and make them higher in a week and keep on going and put on pressure, because this is avoiding any sort of wars. This is avoiding any sort of international scandals. This is simply economic coercion, and who'd have thunk it? It works. She also said that President Donald Trump expects all the nations of the world to fully cooperate in accepting deportation of their citizens illegally present in the United States. Because why wouldn't they? They are your people. They belong in your country. This is simple. Why is this so hard for people? I don't understand it. This is the thing I don't get. They are your citizens. They belong in your country, not in our country. Why do you not want them back? Why are you so upset when we send them to you? Is it perhaps that Trump was right when he said they are not sending their best and brightest? I don't know. Sources say we'll never know, because they just won't accept them. It's wild. A cornerstone of Trump's immigration policy is removing unlawful migrants from the U.S. with the promise of mass deportations. The row between Colombia's left-wing president and Trump escalated rapidly on Sunday. Petro, a keen user of social media, posted on X that he had barred U.S. planes carrying Colombian migrants from entering our territory because the U.S. can't treat Colombian migrants like criminals. But they are actually criminals. It's in the definition, or it's in the actual name. Illegal immigrants. Say it after me. Illegal immigrants. Not legal. Not migrants. Illegal immigrants. It's simple. This is not hard. Now, obviously, people will say it's a civil infraction, not a criminal infraction. It should be a criminal infraction, first off. They should immediately be punished for this. And by punishment, I mean deportation. It's simple. And also, I don't particularly care if you call it a civil infraction versus a criminal infraction. They are criminals. Shut up. They are breaking our laws. And you can say it's civil. It doesn't matter. It's civil. They are still breaking the damn law. If I break a law, I'm considered a criminal. They are too. Screw off. He demanded that the U.S. put procedures in place for migrants to be treated with dignity. He also said he was ready to send the presidential plane to the U.S. to transport the migrants. Colombia has accepted deportation flights from the U.S. in the past. In 2024, 124 planes carrying deported migrants from the U.S. landed in the country. But President Petro appeared to object to the return of deportees on military rather than civilian flights, and to the way the migrants may be treated on those flights. In his posts on X, Petro referenced a news video showing migrants deported from the U.S. to Brazil who had been handcuffed and had their feet restrained during the deportation flight, perhaps because they're criminals. I don't know. Who would have thunk it? He said he would never allow Colombians to return handcuffed on flights. Yes, instead he'd rather them handcuffed in the U.S. It's ridiculous. These people are stupid. I mean, the fact that you won't take back your people, I don't care how well or how poorly they're treated. Get them out of our country. It's not hard. They need to be not here. They need to be where they belong, in their country. And if they won't come get them, we will send them. It's simple. It's not hard. Petro's refusal to let 2 U.S. military planes carrying Colombian deportees to land triggered a quick response by Trump on Truth Social. I was just informed that 2 repatriation flights from the United States with a large number of illegal criminals were not allowed to land in Colombia. This order was given by Colombia's socialist president, Gustavo Petro, who was already very unpopular amongst his people, he wrote. I wonder why. Trump argued that Petro's denial of these flights jeopardized the national security and public safety of the U.S. He said he had directed his administration to immediately impose 25% tariffs on all Colombian goods coming to the U.S., which he said would be raised to 50% if Colombia did not comply within a week. He also said he imposed a travel ban and revoked the visas of Colombian government officials and all allies and supporters. In his post, he warned that these measures are just the beginning. Petro responded on X with a long, rambling, but ultimately defiant post in which he said he would match any U.S.-imposed tariffs. And who'd have thunk it? We don't care. It doesn't impact anyone. Your blockade does not scare me because Colombia, besides being the country of beauty, is the heart of the world. How is Colombia the heart of the world? Colombia matters to literally no one except for Colombians. You know, it's wild. My best friend has a Colombian wife, right? She's an American now. She's a citizen. But even she doesn't like Colombia. Nobody likes Colombia. Like, literally, there's a reason why your people are leaving and trying to get out of your country. It's because it's a socialist shithole that you and your predecessors have destroyed. And because of that, they are one of the largest murder capitals in the world. Run amok by drug and cartel crime. Like, the only thing good in Colombia is they have gorgeous women, beautiful beaches and beautiful forests. And everything else sucks. There is nothing else good there. They have cocaine and coffee. Congratulations. Have fun. Meanwhile, the members of Petro's administration worked behind the scenes to defuse the row. In a late-night news conference, Foreign Minister Luis Gilberto Murillo announced that the two countries had overcome the impasse and that Colombia would accept returned citizens. While Murillo did not directly refer to the White House statement, according to which Colombia had agreed to allow U.S. military flights to take the deportees back, he did not deny it either. The foreign minister reiterated Colombia's offer to send its presidential plane to the U.S. to transport the deportees. While the Colombian concessions seem to have averted the looming trade war, the U.S. has said the visa restrictions on Colombian government officials would stay in place until the first plane load of deportees landed in Colombia. Colombians arriving at U.S. airports will also undergo greater scrutiny under the measures imposed on Sunday, the Trump administration said. Colombia's foreign minister said he would travel to Washington in the coming days for high-level meetings with administration officials. The row marks a low point in relations between the two countries, which historically have been allies and cooperated closely in the fight against drug trafficking. Yes, they've absolutely cooperated closely, with Colombia being the largest exporter and the only producer that I'm aware of cocaine in the world. But yes, they've cooperated closely. They cooperated with making sure that government officials and wealthy people, and honestly, basically anyone in finance and so on and so forth, has access to cocaine, obviously, because they're the ones who make it. Everyone knows that the best cocaine comes from Colombia. Like, this is not difficult. They are not cooperating. They are trash. Shush. With the U.S. providing billions of dollars in military aid and training to Colombia's security forces. Punitive tariffs such as those threatened by Trump and Petro would have hurt both Colombian producers and U.S. consumers. Would it though? Would it though? Because trade between the two countries was worth $53.5 billion in 2022, which is literally nothing. Now listen, that sounds like a lot of money, right? That sounds like a lot of money. It really does. But when you think about the fact that U.S. trade is something like $8 to $10 trillion a year, that is literally nothing. The amount of money that we spend each year just of our own budget, which obviously is money we don't have, amounts to $4 trillion. $53 billion is literally nothing. That's a drop in the bucket. It matters to no one. Colombia's main exports to the U.S. are oil, coffee, and cut flowers, which is a bunch of nothing. Democrat Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez urged Americans to remember, we pay the tariffs, not Colombia, and yet it would affect basically no one. Trump is about to make every American pay even more for coffee, she wrote, before the tariffs have been suspended. Yes, because Colombia is the only place that we get coffee. Whatever, man. Either way, I have ranted and raved enough on this. Next segment's coming up later today. Make sure to smash that like button and subscribe. Tell me what you think in the comments, man. There's a lot to go over here. If you have any input, let me know. We'll see you then, and have a good one.